end. We can probably end pretty early. Let's see. We don't have any communication from Deep unless anybody knows anything that they may have sent out.
I'm
Okay,
not aware of anything.
okay. Department of Aquaculture, Steve, have you heard anything from them?
No, nothing unusual.
Okay. And Department of Health, Bill, anything from you?
Nothing. I can do some updating regarding Wilson Cove under the old business. But nothing other than that right now.
Okay. And Harbor Commission, I don't think we're gonna hear anything from either John or Jeff. John, do you know anything?
No, I'm not aware of anything.
Okay, apparently DEEP, I just got off the phone with Jeff. Apparently DEEP has approved the Walk Bridge project. So that's in spite of the comments that the Harbor Commission had. And they have overlooked everything that the Harbor Commission put forward. So looks like we're between a rock and a hard place. Okay, and planning and zoning, I don't think Michelle is on the line, is she?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Okay, under old business. Dick or Bill, anything on Wilson Point Cove that we need to be aware of, or is everything going smoothly?
Well, it depends on what you call smoothly. I'll start it. Dick, you can fill in any details. So Dick has started doing some sampling on the 24th in Wilson Cove, and everything came out great at that point. The highest we had was 10 colonies, so that was really good. On the first, it was a little bit different. There were a number that were elevated. The pond outlet was again really high, like over 8,600 and some. And we also had just under half an inch of rain within 24 hours. So
hard to get much out of that.
yeah, I don't know what to say about that either. Maybe that's warming up in there. I don't know, but that and the rainfall. Interestingly enough, when on the 13th, that traditionally, this is regarding our beaches that we do. So we do beaches starting from Calf Pasture and do a number of beaches, 15 total, all the way over to Weeburn. And there's always some that fail, or at least we don't close the beach, but there may be some failures we have to retest. Generally, they pass. On the 13th, though, and generally we do it at high tide. We had historically have done it at high tide. Now, because we're using the state lab, we have to use a certain time frame, and we've been doing it around a lot of low tides. On the 13th, it was just about dead low tide, and we had just under a half an inch of rain again, and we had like really high counts from Marvin. They were elevated around Calf Pasture, Shady, where we start, but they were on the lower side. But from Marvin all the way to Weeburn, they were really high, which I've never seen before. And we sampled a couple of days later, and they were much better. So I'm not really sure what to make that, other than maybe it's the rainfall washing everything in, and it's low tide. So, but I hadn't seen that before. But like I said, we haven't, sampled at low tide very much until this year. The pipes at Witch Lane and Trolley are still showing elevated counts. Harbor Watch has done some, Dick has done some as well. They were high on the 31st, on May 31st rather, and then on the lower side for June 30th. So I think Harbor Watch, I know, is doing some work up as far as Taft right now, doing some sampling in catch basins, and they're gonna be working with Public Works and Ralph Kolb to try and maybe get into some other places. So that's gonna be ongoing for a lot of the summer to try and see if we can nail down some potential sources there. The larger part regarding the Cove is kind of hard to tell right now. I don't know, Dick, if you have anything you want to add to that, please do.
No, I think you got it pretty well covered. There's no real big smoking gun yet, and there may never be. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I would like to see what comes of the working up around MLK and those lines coming in, though. I think that's worth continuing to pursue and see if we can. Actually, it just seems like it's been consistently high. And I think there must be something going on. We just have to try and figure out where the source is. I'm sure there's one up there somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
It's- Bill, what are you sampling for?
Just for bacteria. It's
Okay.
Harbor Watch has just been looking for bacteria, but we've had pretty high counts. Like on the 31st, there were anywhere from, let's see, 2,400 to 5,000. There's 3 different pipes that come out by trolley. And then there's one over by Witch Lane. And they were on the high side, and that's right at the base of Martin Luther King. That pipe comes down as far, it goes up towards I-95, and there's a number of places along there that could be contributing to whatever's going on. So we're trying to
Yeah.
nail it down. A lot going on up there. So it's not going to be easy, but I think it's worth pursuing for sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments about that? Criticisms? Okay. Diane,
Yes,
you wanted to finish MS4? And then water quality lists and goals.
okay, let's see here. First of all, let's see. Based upon our discussion at the last meeting, I had requested that our members become familiar with the MS4 or Municipal Separate Storm Water Systems. It's actually a discharge permit, not a license, but I will correct the minutes later when we come up to that. I have not received anything from anyone. So what I'd like to do is see if we could set a goal of by a deadline of the next meeting, before the next meeting, if anyone has suggestions, ideas, or corrections, if you could submit that to me, and then I will collect those suggestions and submit them to Joe. And we'll put our heads together, and at the meeting, we can make a plan. I know that I have I've read, of course, the MS4 and many of the attachments. I know Joe did. I'm sure many of you have, but I think because of our responsibilities, it is, of course, really important that we take a look at whatever management plans our city has related to water quality. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm done with that. Are there any questions?
Yeah, where can you get a whole copy of this thing?
I could get the link to all of you after the meeting. It's on the city website. It was a draft plan. I don't know if they've changed the our official permit was due and before July 1st. The state of Connecticut, with certain towns, I don't know if they have to request it, but all towns have to have updates by July 1st, which is when the fiscal year ends. Some towns have requested extensions so that they could either get corrections or ideas, but it is available on this website. You would go on the homepage of the city website, upper right-hand side, it says city departments, and then you find Public Works, Department of Public Works, and it should be there as you scroll down. But I'll send a link as well after the meeting.
Could you send me a link?
I'll send everybody. Yeah,
Thanks.
sure.
And then the next one under old business, Diane, water quality list of goals.
Okay. We had discussed the possibility of doing some outreach initially with our city boards, commissions, committees, and agencies. There was a lot of discussion. The second objective was going to be to work with the public. But I initially had brought up an idea that some of us had discussed in past meetings to take that terrific list that we put together in 2021. I still haven't, in many other minutes, there's different names of this list, Joe. The actions list or the action goal list, I will name it, the document, whatever you like. But unfortunately, I sent a draft of, on one page of, I was asked to put together kind of an outline of how we would approach the board, commission, committees, and agencies. And I just got it sent to you all just before the meeting. So I apologize for that. However, in general, I'd like you to take a look at what I sent you after the meeting or during this meeting. The objective is to begin a dialogue about water quality awareness and collaboration opportunities with Part A, Norwalk City boards, commissions, committees, and agencies, and B, the public via webinars, articles, or displays at City Hall, et cetera. In other words, public education opportunities. So I just briefly went, I won't read the whole thing, but objective A with our Norwalk boards, commissions, committees, and agencies is to identify like-minded city entities that have water quality related responsibilities. Examples would include the Water Pollution Control Authority, the Conservation Commission, and the Common Council Public Works Committee, as well as Planning and Zoning Commission. Now, for brevity, I didn't include all of their actual statutory responsibilities, but they do have either one or more, either ordinances or state statutes. In the case of Water Pollution Control Authority, Planning and Zoning and their regulations, they do look at water quality related and stormwater management. So I'm not suggesting we do this all in 1 month. I would say, based upon who's available and who's interested in speaking with us, that we have kind of a dog and pony show. I would love to be accompanied by one or more of you. Everyone is friendly. We're still doing most meetings are still on Zoom, so that makes it a lot easier for any of us. And I could make those arrangements with the permission of this committee. Some of you said, well, why aren't these people coming to us? Well, I will just say that that also we could do an exchange in that manner, but there are many boards and commissions that have set dates where they meet. They're already busy, but they do have discussion items. And I do believe that they would welcome us as a friendly entity in the city. We're all in it together, right? So I just lay out an outline on how we would first select, let's say 2 to go to. We request an appearance on the select entity's monthly meeting agenda as a discussion item by email, and I would attach our water quality action goals. And this is, I'm going to work out with Joe. So it's not, and Bill Mooney. So it's not done in any kind of I'm not doing this on my own. But then we would just schedule the visits through 2022. And during each meeting, we'd present our goals, discuss common interest, and identify possible future collaboration. And then on a somewhat regular basis, or even monthly, I could just report how we're doing and what kind of feedback we're getting. This is just a way to, show that we're all in this together and we all care about our city and our environment, but also the health of our community and our harbor. Objective B is public education. So we would just in general identify water quality related topics where the public interest is high. Possible topics could include helping put together an event with a webinar with the city pesticide ordinance that was just passed, and the effort to inform private landowners to try to encourage them to do a similar thing to what the city is doing on their public spaces, green infrastructure design, and PFAS. I mean, it's whatever topic we feel is important. And again, this is as we have the time to collaborate and do it, but there's a lot of interest in these things. We'd identify possible calendar or seasonal dates such as Earth Day, National Rivers Month, which is June, and World Water Day to focus our topics. We work, of course, with the mayor's office, and hopefully Michelle, the new communications person, would collaborate with us. We would identify and we could form a public event subcommittee, because some of you on this call have done public events before. I know I have, Louise has, others have. I'm sure Joe has, Bill Mooney. And we could work with city officials from Harbor and Shellfish Commission if they wanted to. I mean, again, this is a volunteer group. We could identify and collaborate partners by topic and reach out to groups in the city for guest speakers. There are many good people in the world that would be excellent speakers. And lastly, we could identify indoor, outdoor, and virtual venues by collaboration with Norwalk Library. I already spoke to Sherelle Harris. She said that she'd be very happy to engage us when and if we're ready. City IT is terrific. City Hall, Stepping Stones, Maritime Aquarium. You know, there's many terrific entities. So I'll leave it at that. Again, this was just an idea because we know that water quality is something that we all care about, but the public, I think, would, and our city agencies, we want to connect the dots there.
Okay, Diane,
Yes.
when you just spoke, you mentioned action goals that we developed. We did not develop action goals. We had lists of concerns.
Okay, I will change that. I will change it.
The reason we did that is we felt it was important for whatever agency received those lists to
Yeah.
look at it and develop how they can work to solve those problems. And it would be up to them to establish the goals and not for us to dictate their goals.
Yes, we never intended to dictate anything. This is, again, as I said more than once at our last meeting, that we're not dictating, we are communicating and collaborating and hopefully stimulating them, but not dictating to anyone. And I will just say, I did look at different minutes, Joe, and we've named this wonderful list different things. So what I will do is correct what we call the list. I will go back to our minutes. I got it wrong.
Okay, any other comments?
Isn't there a groundwater committee or something like that in the city?
Actually, there is an aquifer protection agency that has
Yeah.
been, that is under the planning and zoning currently. It was stuck under their responsibilities. So that's why I mentioned especially the Planning and Zoning Commission, although they do insist that any applicant, when it's appropriate, submit flood control plan and stormwater management plans. So again, to the naked eye, they may not think planning and zoning has much to do with water quality, but they absolutely do, including aquifer agency. And they're also the coastal area management. They have coastal area, they have the responsibility of deciding coastal area management applications.
Anything else? Okay, excellent. Moving on to new business. I think I copied everybody, and I hope you all got it, about the USGS equipment at the aquarium fouling and causing low dissolved oxygen that I reported in the last meeting. And it was down to 2 parts per million. At that time, I did not know it was fouling. However, it continued and it was not changed as we went on through the month. And in a series of emails with Brittany Isbicki, she reported that the equipment was fouled, and that's what caused the low dissolved oxygen reading. Now, for the record, that type of equipment that monitors 24 hours a day, as many days out of the year as they leave it in the water, that can usually foul literally within 24 to 48 hours. Their equipment does not have anti-fouling solutions on it, nor do they have wipers. John, do you work with wipers on your equipment at all? You're muted, John.
Sorry, I haven't seen one of those, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one at the aquarium just to prevent fouling And May going into June and July is critical. Because it loads up so quickly, and it's not fouling with just algae. It's bryozoans, sea squirts, and other things that latch onto it for whatever reason. I don't know whether the current passing through the monitor actually stimulates them or what, but it fouls quickly. So they're aware of it, and I sent her a note saying just that. And I told her about the solutions that some of the equipment manufacturers have. And I followed up with a wiper system that some of the equipment manufacturers have. But having said that, John hit her with an important question. John, you want to share with the group what you asked her?
Oh, yeah, about calibration. You know, you typically, if you pull something out of a whatever process and then you work on it, you have to recalibrate it before you put it back on service.
And what was her answer?
She said she was gonna get back to me. I wasn't really clear. She gave me, to me, it was like the answer was no.
Correct.
I did not get a clear answer from her. Truly,
Correct.
that's my impression.
So based on that, whenever we see something that's a little off, we have to be concerned whether they're recalibrating it. It does not necessarily mean they're not recalibrating it, but it does cause for concern. Again, they're up in Hartford. So for them to come down and do a calibration, it's a 3-hour commute just to recalibrate one device. So it's something that hopefully they can work out over a period of time and that we can count on them. Now, I'm going to divert a little bit while we're on this. And just to point out, their readings right now indicate that bottom temperatures are above 70 degrees. Surface temperatures are above 70 degrees. And that's in both the harbor at Cove Marine as well as the Maritime Aquarium. And when we hit 70 degrees, that's when the bottom can start falling out of the dissolved oxygen level. So we know that going from here on through the rest of the summer, it could be an interesting summer. We've been lucky so far because it's been pretty cool. And we haven't had fish dying or anything else like that, but we just have to keep our eyes open and our ears open and see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yep.
Yeah, that's very interesting. For this monitoring that they have, both John and Joe and Dick, I would imagine that this agency would have a QA/QC plan that talks about calibration and how often they calibrate, but also clearing, like you said, like you identified the fouling potential. Do they have, maybe we can get a hold of, I can't imagine that they would even be allowed to set up these monitors without having a QA/QC plan that would include cleaning, calibration, monitoring for accuracy, et cetera.
I will put the request in.
Okay.
And probably because it's a government agency, it probably has it on a website somewhere as a link. And I'll see what Brittany can send us. And then again, to be aware of all the sites that they are working on, I don't know whether they have one blanket QAPP or whether they have a QAPP for every site. And if they have a QAPP for every site, it makes it easy. If they don't, it's only what they are working to monitor. Now, the interesting thing is with DEEP approving the walk bridge plans, we hope that we can count on them, the USGS, as a backup monitoring system and not the Department of Transportation. So hopefully we'll see what goes on there. Okay, any other comments or questions about the monitoring? John?
Yeah, I was out with the Long Island Sound study that goes out on a synchronized basis with the Maritime Center on day before yesterday. And the top station on the bottom was over 2 parts per million. Now that's really a high point. That station has usually been 0.1, 0.5, 0.6. And coming on down, the oxygen measures were 4, 5, 6s. So right now, the place is in better shape than it normally is. So I just passed that on. One time at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay. And it was down to 0.5.
Yeah, no, 5 on the bottom at Wall Street, 2.5.
Okay,
Oh, that's good.
so if it's a 2.5 at Wall Street, you're dealing mostly with the fresh water coming downstream.
Actually, you're not, Joe. You've got a saltwater wedge there that measures 24, 25 as soon as you hit it. And it's the saltwater wedge that showed that high reading.
So it was,
High for us.
so it was at medium or high tide?
It was at high tide.
Yeah, because at low tide, that wedge does not go up very far at all. But high tide, it goes all the way up to Cross Street. Okay, any other comments?
Just real quick, Joe, when you talk to them about the QOQC, maybe you can request a copy of the calibration records. I don't know if they'll provide that to you.
That'd be a good idea.
Okay,
If I could add to that also, I mean, if we're going to be using this to monitor what's going on with the Walk Bridge, you want to make sure that is calibrated. So you
right,
have great information from that.
I will do that. Anything else? Okay. I have a comment here about the new position for Josh Morgan. Josh Morgan was originally hired to work as a communications person for City Hall and also to develop grants. I don't know if he developed any grants for anybody that's sitting on this committee, but I find it interesting. He is now up at the Department of Transportation and he is doing communications up there. So he has gone from Norwalk, where we're trying to rein in DOT, up to the DOT with everything that we know could be a problem. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Joe?
Yes,
When Josh announced he was leaving, my understanding is, even before he officially left, the city placed the grants, a part-time grants coordinator position under the finance director, which is something that I had suggested for several years because they do a lot of accounting of money, and this way it would be more a formalized process. And but they only have a part-time person still. Her name is I think it's Rita Nigri, Nigri, and they still are using the model where for each department, they have people that help initiate sometimes the grants, and then Rita will help coordinate it. And for a city of our size, I still feel we should have at least one full-time person who is very familiar with grants, because to make sure we capture grants. I know other towns surrounding us are getting grants on energy savings and things, and we don't capture those things. So just to help you, any ideas you have, under finance, Henry Dachowicz's department has a part-time person, and I hope one day soon they have a sub-department or full-time.
thank you. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, Joe,
Yeah.
are you aware of the Pear Tree Point debacle, the dredging over there? The Corps of Engineers was going to dredge Pear Tree Point around the Darien Boat Club, take out a total of 3,300 cubic yards, which is for argument's sake, about 300 dump trucks.
Yep.
And the proposal was to take that out and put it on the cap, out on the sound. They took 15 cores, and the cores were almost 4 feet, some 5 feet deep, and they analyzed those, and guess what they found? They found metals, lead, copper, chromium, and a whole bunch of stuff, plus a bunch of pesticides, DDT, DDE, DDT, DPT, aldrin, dieldrin, chloridane. All that stuff came up, and when they got all finished, they said, well, it looks like only 3 of those cores, the first 3 they took downstream, that amount of material can be moved to the dump site. Everything else is going to resolve in remediation, very expensive remediation, like take the stuff out and put it on the ground and take it away to be remediated. Now, in and of itself, Louise and I have been after the town to come up with the report, and we finally got it. Thanks, Louise. She haunted him enough. She may have sent it to you, Joe. I don't know.
No,
But
she did not.
But I'll send you what I have. Take a good look at it. That is important in itself, but here comes the rub. They want to now dredge the upper part of Saugatuck Harbor. And they were operating on an old proposal that was put together before COVID. That proposal, believe it or not, called for taking the the spoil and putting it in a burrow pit off Sherwood Island. Now, apparently they've had second thoughts about that idea. So that's gone by the boards, and they're going to retest everything. But I think we should watch that very carefully, because if in fact they turn up a bunch of pesticides in the sediments, that's going to be good ammunition to go back to the state in this fall and raise hell about getting neonics removed from the state. So these are kind of things that are popping up that we need to keep good track of.
Yep, I agree. And Dick, you just reminded me of something, and Diane, because you're running around to these different commissions. And I don't know whether the hour reported this accurately, but the hour stated that the city could only use organic compounds for pesticides. Am I correct?
For Norwalk,
Yes,
Norwalk has a new pesticide rule in. It was approved by
Yes.
the council. Yeah,
and they can only use organic compounds.
I don't know that it goes that far, but I know they banned the bad stuff.
Well, here's the catch.
Yeah.
DDT is organic.
Yeah,
Many of these other compounds are technically organic compounds.
They're all
Anybody-
organic.
Anybody that's had organic chemistry knows that.
Yeah,
Right.
they're all organic.
Yeah. So it could be same old thing we've been doing all along.
well, I think we need to get Lisa Shanahan to give us a resolution and read it before we make any
I-
judgments.
Yeah, I could, when I ship what John Crespo asked me to ship, I'll also attach the ordinance. It does list specific chemical compounds. I asked, as the science evolves and public health evolves, would they be willing to amend if necessary with new compounds that we just don't know enough about yet? They said, yes, sure, but we're not sure we'll be around when this happens. But as far as Joe, you're right. People use the term feeling, or anything that's organic is clean and pure. And we all on this call know that it's more than a term of art. It's a chemical term. So we should all be mindful and care. We want them to be careful about throwing terms around.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because if it ends up in a court, anybody that brings a chemist in could easily blow it out the door.
I hope they've had better guidance than that. We'll see.
Let's hope, Dick. I'll see if I can get a copy of the ordinance and
Yeah.
see what's up with that. And that brings me back to Bill. I sent a note to the mayor about the PFAS and the PFOS. And he basically said his people are working on this as far as informing the public, because there's been a change of values for the EPA, and they've lowered the standards. Has anything gone through the health department?
I'd have to check with Deanna. I know that, I mean, obviously you're aware of it. I think the plan is to work with the water treatment, folks, the various districts, and trying to figure out how we can get money so that they can do whatever they need to do to try and filter this stuff out. But I don't know much more about it than that at this point. But I know it's a big topic though.
It's, when I sent a note to the mayor about it, I said at least we could recommend to people to use a water filter that has activated charcoal in it to help reduce whatever the city is pushing through to them. And maybe it might be a good idea for the health department to issue a statement saying, for those of you that have concerns about this, any of you that use a water filter with activated charcoal are already reducing any PFAS and PFOS that's coming through the water. What do you think?
I would talk to Deanna about it. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, of course.
yes. Diane?
Joe. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. When EPA finally got off their seat, and after, as we all know, years of the state health departments and others clamoring for a standard, they have this interim standard for two of the nastiest of the approximately 2,500, 3,000 different compounds that fall under PFAS. So PFOA, PFOA, and PFOS are the two that they came up with interim standards, and those are very low, of course. In some states, they were so tired of waiting for EPA, they said, make it zero. And that's at times unrealistic. But yeah, I mean, but anyway, I just wanted, I'm very interested in seeing what the health department's plan is, because for those on the call who may read our minutes later, the city of Norwalk, I know all of you know this in our committee, but this city of Norwalk does not own the water utilities in town. And we, of course, want to have a good working relationship with those. But some of you know, I came to Norwalk as working as a student intern for the First Taxing District Water Company to help them find a different contaminant, trichloroethylene, in that well field, in a different section of the well field, many, we're talking over 30 years ago. But I do think it would behoove the city to take a look at some independent review, because, again, it's the old saying, trust but verify. And I have spoken to Deanna about this and some others. So I just wanted to put that out on the record that we definitely want to have good relationships. However, the public expects us and the city health department to trust but verify. And I'll leave it at that because I am concerned.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay,
Question for Dick, where can I get information on that Darien dredging project?
I'll send you the report.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Dick, could you send it to all of us?
Yeah, Louise sent it to me, so I can send it. I just pass it on.
thank you.
Thank
Dick.
you.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you.
It's an eye opener. There's a lot of exceedances in there.
Thanks.
Okay, Bill, do we have anybody from the public out there?
Looks like there's currently one person in the attendee section. If you would like to address the committee, make sure to just hit the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, and I will allow you to unmute.
No?
Yeah, it looks like we are all set from the public participation.
Excellent. Then, Diane, you said you had several comments about the minutes, changes to be made.
Let's see here. I'm having trouble getting it on my screen. Darn it. Okay, so I will submit for maybe, I'll be very brief and then just when we vote for it, we could just say as submitted, because I did submit in a Google Doc. And anyway, first of all, in number 2 in our minutes, stormwater management plan, I just noted that it's a permit, is a discharge permit for stormwater management. And that the permit involves filing an annual stormwater plan and letting the public know about its existence and how they can comment. Not really much else with that. And then number 3, the water quality list and visiting select boards, commissions, committees, and number 3 in our minutes. I just clarified that we would, in the 3rd line, I said that we would educate them about the various water quality, and I will correct this, it's not action goals, and resources. And then at the last paragraph, I said, Miss Lauricella said that her former role on the League of Women Voters had involved her with making public aware. Second sentence, she noted that many of the committees and commissions, and here's the change, will soon be developing their budget. And this is a way to start the dialogue. But I have written up these minor changes and I submit them for the record. I'm sorry, it for some reason didn't come through with the Google Doc system. Joe.
Okay. I'll be honest, usually I have a tough time opening up Google Docs.
Okay,
So I'll let you know if I can open it or not when I get to it. Okay, does somebody want to make a motion to accept the minutes with the changes Diane just listed?
so move.
Okay, a second,
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
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 Okay, any opposition? Okay, that was quick. And the nice thing is, can I have a motion to adjourn? Good, quick meeting.
So move.
Diane, okay. Second,
Second,
okay. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. I will see you in August. Take care.
And we'll be in
Yep.
touch.
Thank
Night,
you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Joe?